Okay, we're in the final chapter of the First Global Revolution, learning our way into a new era. These now exist in about 30 countries in the 5 continents. The associations are governed by a common charter, some of the articles of which insist on the nature of the interaction of the local and the global. Each association shall approach the global problems in terms of the country's own cultural values and thus contribute to the general understanding of the human condition on the planet. It shall have the duty to disseminate locally to decision makers, academics, industrial circles, and the public at large the reports, findings, and attitudes of the club. It shall contribute experience, creative ideas, and proposals towards the understanding of the global problems to the club. The national associations for the Club of Rome have therefore the mission of bridging communication between the national realities and the problematique as seen nationally on the one hand and the global thinking of the club on the other, and acting as relays for the circulation and dissemination of club thinking in each country. Going from global to local and from local to global is a radical transformation in modes of thinking and reasoning which will become essential henceforth. It is a new intellectual exercise which we shall have to extend and integrate. Local individual interaction. The picture would be incomplete were we not to address the action possibilities of the individual human being who is at the center of the entire edifice. In extreme cases such as a threat of war or natural disasters, individuals are immediately transformed into citizens, aware of the responsibilities and ready for cohesive action. Other less spectacular but likewise significant examples bear witness to the fact that individuals are not inert and indifferent in the face of imminent dangers. When there is an environmental threat close by, or when a situation arises where people's interests are at stake and gross instances of exploitation are revealed, we find that initiatives are taken in the most diverse fields by individuals and small groups prepared to fight for causes that affect them directly or indirectly and by which they feel motivated. Suffice it to mention as examples transportation or telephone users organizations, or in a different category, NGOs that care for disabled children, old people, or battered wives. Again, there are NGOs in the fight against AIDS, and a host of other diseases, NGOs in the struggle for human rights, ecological NGOs, peace groups, and a multitude of developmental NGOs, such as we have presented above. Neither must we forget the initiatives in many countries by the jobless to create employment for themselves or to set up their own businesses, as well as the NGOs that were founded to assist small businesses and to provide them with technical assistance. Individual commitment to action of these sorts is therefore possible and already widespread, which demonstrates that a link can be established between the human being and local or national actions, which in some cases flourish, extend, and become international. The emergence of the informal sector. The success of grassroots NGO initiatives no longer needs to be demonstrated. Very often these movements are sparked off by individual men and women. Examples throughout the world are multitudinous. In the Indian state of Uttar Pradesh, the local people have rallied around a man called Sunderlal Bahuguna to stop the construction of a U.S. $1.7 billion dam, which would have submerged their villages and seriously increased the danger of avalanches in the region. Several reports that questioned the technical feasibility of the project, added to an 11-day fast by Bahuguna, led the government to back down on its plans. In Kenya, a woman, Wangari Maathai, founder and president of the grassroots Green Belt movement and member of the Club of Rome, has led a successful battle to stop the construction of a 62-floor office building in a popular Nairobi public park. In Mexico City, where the problem of pollution has gone far beyond bearable limits, Marcos Chan Rodriguez mobilized his neighborhood to form a grassroots group to reduce the operations of cement factory that was pouring cement particles into the air. In the process, the group realized that to arouse the ruling party's interest, it had to appeal to the left-wing opposition and therefore make the democratic system work. The enormous proliferation of NGOs can be seen in every sector of national and international activity. Some are strictly professional, others represent special interests. They may be single-issue groups or deal with general concerns. They may have a religious orientation or be based on particular political ideology. The arising of this wide variety of NGOs is a healthy phenomenon which demonstrates that the human fabric is able to react to the rigidity and to an apparent impotence of national and international official structures in face of current problems. This new pattern of informal bodies has little coherence and often appears somewhat anarchistic because it is marked more by spontaneity and flexibility than by its concern with structure, something it is weary of. Most of the innumerable new NGOs are weak financially and otherwise, but their lack of power is often compensated by vigor and enthusiasm. In a few cases, such as that of the Greens, they may even try to penetrate the official structures by presenting candidates for parliament. In other cases, for example, that of the World Watch Institute of Washington, surveys of world trends are scrutinized seriously by political personalities in many countries. This new so-called informal sector is beginning to be taken seriously by governments and international institutions, often with some reluctance and despite the apparent incompatibility of what is official with that which is not. However, some NGOs possess experience, insights, and knowledge that governments lack, as well as representing significant elements of public concern which cannot be ignored. Thus, some cooperation is emerging between the official and the informal, and this is proving useful to the latter as different NGOs meet and discover their similarities and differences. We feel that similar cooperation is necessary also in the international fora. Intergovernmental discussions tend to be even more sterile and distant from reality than those on the national level, and hence a leavening of the debate by inclusion of a few carefully selected non-official experts in the committees could be inspiring. We have already suggested this in putting forward the idea of a UN Environmental Security Council. Despite more and more frequent meetings where several NGOs come together, their objectives and effectiveness remain scattered and generally unknown for many NGOs. Without meaning to advocate the structuring of the informal sector, which might easily lose its soul in the process, a more effective system of mutual information would avoid much useless dispersion, encourage a fruitful exchange of experience, and lead to the creation of alliances, thus increasing overall effectiveness. This is one of the areas which the Club of Rome will pursue in its new initiatives. Although global efforts are essential to face some of the inescapably global issues, we must continue to operate at many levels: global, regional, national, provincial, and local. At times we need not jump too quickly to the highest level when local or regional efforts can be more successful. In fact, substantial impacts can be made even on the largest scale issues through multiple actions on a small scale. And we will pick up and probably finish this book in the next video. Thanks for hanging in there with me. It'll be over soon. I hope you've learned something a little bit by my having read this.